Everybody, how y'all doing? How y'all doing? Um, just want to say it's rather cold here in Oklahoma. Snowed in, can't do anything. Below zero, freezing temps. Like it's super cold, and had a snowstorm. Got another snowstorm coming in tomorrow night. But just want to get and say thank you guys, whoever that tunes in this 45 minutes to an hour. Just want to say thank you for checking it out. Hope that you find whatever I say interesting. Most important thing is these are just my opinions and my opinions alone. It doesn't reflect anything, but it's just my opinion, how I feel at that particular time, this particular moment. So we're gonna start out the show a little different. This time we're normally talking about, NFL, NBA, but we're going to start talking about some women's sports. So we're going to start out talking about a game that just happened this past weekend. Women's college basketball, number 1 South Carolina versus number 2 UConn. And I didn't get to watch the entire game, but I went back and I was able to check it out. And it was most of it was a phenomenal basketball game. Went into overtime. I mean, 2 well-coached teams. South Carolina's coached by Don Staley, and UConn is coached by Gino Auriemma. I just have to say, UConn looks like it's going to get back to its old UConn ways, because they have a freshman, young lady that by the name of Paige Beckers. And Paige Beckers, man, she's leading them in points, assists, steals, and 3-point field goals made this season. And in this game, I tell you, she had a lot of clutch baskets that went on in this game. She ended up with 31 points. And she hit the game winner, the dagger in overtime that put UConn up for good. Not to take anything away from South Carolina, Aaliyah Boston, she had 17 points and 15 rebounds. Like, that's a monstrous game. Like, there was number 1, number 2. I feel like whenever you're doing, your AP polls or your coaches polls and all that stuff, if 1 and 2 play against each other, it's a knockdown, drag out, battle. If number 2 beats number 1, number 1 shouldn't drop, no more than to 3rd. But I really think they should go to 2nd, because, I mean, either or, one of them could be 1 or 2. But this South Carolina game was really good. This girl, Paige Becker, she is really, really, really good. I mean, a freshman, and she's leading UConn and everything. So that means she's going to be there for a couple of more years. So, UConn, all they think about is national championships. National championship after national championship after national championship. So at the end of the day, I mean, this is going to be something special. A lot of us don't watch a lot of college women's basketball, period, NBA or college. But I mean, I really think we should, start checking it out. Like, honestly, this game was better than men's games that I watched this year. Simply because if it's number 1 and number 2, they're evenly matched. So it's going to be a good basketball game. And then when you have 2 well-coached teams like Don Staley, she's done a phenomenal job in South Carolina. She's turned South Carolina into one of the top, teams in the nation. And, we all know what Gino Auriemma does at UConn. Like, it's nothing less than, national championship. So that's one thing that they pride themselves on. I mean, I really think that everybody should, check them out. Like, I mean, it's a lot of good women's basketball out there. And this game, like, I mean, it went back and forth. As you see, it went to not double overtime, went to overtime. And, they kind of went back and forth. Like, we didn't know who was going to win this game. And, the girl Paige Becker, she really did a phenomenal job down the stretch. Like I said, she ended up with 31 points. And she really took care of business. Like, UConn has a bright future with this young lady. Like, she's the truth. Like, I watch her stop and pop. I watch her stop and pop. I watch her come off screens. And I'll tell, like, any young kids, like, if you want to see how to shoot and how to come off screens, how to do things the right way, watch women's basketball. Like the women, they just do everything. They're fundamentally sound. And like I watched this young lady, she came off the screen, hit a three, and everybody thought that it might have been a bad shot. But I watched all her shots. She shoot all of them the same way. She shoot all of them the same way. And, her stop and pop game, like in between game, that's what's missing in basketball these days now is that in between game. And this young lady, she has it all. She can shoot the three. She can get to the basket. She can stop and pop. That's one thing I like about it. Like this, I mean, I can't speak, any highly of her. She's a freshman. And, to be a freshman and lead in UConn in just about every statistical category is a big thing. Is a really, really, really big deal with Gino Raymond. Like, and so I say for the next 2 or 3 years, they got a chance to win national championships. I really do. And like Ty, I really think that we all should do a better job of watching a women's basketball. Like I'm a lover of sports, so I watch it. I'll sit up and watch it. Like my wife gives me a hard time because she always talking about they don't give the women enough pub, so nobody knows anything. But I'll watch it. Like I know you ain't got to put it on ESPN. This game coming on. Like I know what games are coming on. I look at my app and I'll see what games I want to watch. I'll look through the guide. And so I'm just a lover of sports and just to watch, good basketball. Like it doesn't care. I don't care if it's women or men's, and I prefer to watch the women because, like I said before, they're more fundamentally sound. It's not a whole bunch of dunking and all that stuff because I mean they have to use their fundamentals to get past people to do everything the right way. And it's very interesting to me because like whenever I played, I wasn't a dunker, I was a shooter. And I was shorter than a lot of people, so I had to do everything the right way too. So, and I watched a lot of women shoot ball. Like my aunt, and I mean, it was in our family. My aunt taught us how to shoot free throws and all that type of stuff. But yeah, TC, I have to agree with you. She's tough. She's tough. Like watch her, and she'll put some of these guys to shame. Like for real, she really will. She'll put some of these guys to shame. Ty said, I was telling someone the other day, we got to find out a way to get them more TV time, even if creating a network for them similar to NBA TV. I mean, ESPN does a good job of putting them on. It's so much other sports that's flooded. ESPN has a lot of games going on. So they talk about, I mean, they put the women's on, but then they have men's game. And like a lot of guys are just, oh, well, we'll go watch this game, even if it's not good. Like it could be a sorry game and they just don't want to watch the women. But I agree. If we could come up with something to get them a little bit more pub and get more of their games on, I mean, it will make women's college basketball, even the WNBA, it will make them better, which I mean, the WNBA plays in the summertime, not during the same time as the men play. So that would help them out. But women's college basketball, I can watch it. I'll watch it anytime. But yeah, I do agree with you, Ty. We do need to figure out something to get them more pub, and even if they, like you said, create a station like it's similar to NBA TV. Yeah, I understand that too. But with that being said, not just games, but more content like the WNBA free agency and movement and all that stuff. So I agree with that too, because at the same time, this is maybe the first year that women have had, the WNBA has had a chance to do free agency. Like, as you can see, Candace Parker's leaving. Like, ever since they did their new collective bargaining agreement, everything is going to be a little bit better for the women. They're getting higher pay. And so that means that, yeah, we can go and we can negotiate some deals for them to move around and, get in better situations and all that good stuff. So I totally agree. I agree with that 100%. So I think that if we start doing and we start pushing it, it will be better for the women versus, we just pushing men's sports. Because if you watch anything, I mean, a lot of the women's stuff get downplayed. Like, I know I'm kind of going off subject of this right here, but we downplay like Serena Williams and Venus Williams and, all of them that play, tennis because, we got Novak Djokovic and, Rafael Nadal and all of them. But, these women, if we just push them a little bit more, then, they'll get, it'll be some, equal pay or more pay for them to further grow themselves and to grow, they can start building brands and all of that good stuff. So, that being said, I totally agree with you. Like, but I think, if you go watch South Carolina, go watch UConn, and I guarantee you they will not disappoint you. They will not disappoint you at all. And so we're going to move on to the next thing. The women's topic was a great topic. I'm going to do a better job and more of a job of talking women's sports. So, just look forward for that because, we got to give our women, better shout outs and, pull for them and push them along too, just like we do the men. My next topic is going to be the Anthony Davis injury and update. We saw what happened to Anthony Davis last night. It was a non-contact, injury. He tried to drive on the Joker, pulled up lane. First thing he grabbed was his Achilles. And so, after that, they end up saying that he was going to get an MRI today, and the MRI came back that he had a calf strain. And when I first heard that, the first thing that I thought was Kevin Durant 2 years ago. That was the exact same thing. They said he had a calf strain and just rested for a little bit. And they was, doing rehab on a calf and come back, boom, lo and behold, he tore his Achilles. And with that being said, it's tough on Anthony Davis. It's tough on the Lakers. But me personally, a calf strain, I will have to go and get a second opinion because I've seen a few Achilles tearing it, and that looked like it was his Achilles. I hope it's not, but that's what it looked like. And he walked real gingerly, like that Achilles was real stiff, and he had already been having some issues with his Achilles and how it was tender and and the tendon and stuff. He had a little tendonitis and all of that. But the big question is after that, let's say for instance it is worse than what they saying it are. They saying 2 to 3 weeks they're going to reevaluate and go from there. But let's say for instance it's worse than what it is. The big question is now, where do the Lakers go from there? Where do they go from there? Because AD is, some people say he's the best player on the Lakers, but, we do know that it's him and LeBron with a 1-2 punch. And where does LeBron go from there? Because, at his age and, and losing his next best guy, that means there's going to be a lot put on him. And I don't see anybody else being able to pick up the slack for Anthony Davis. The other thing is like, this is the real Anthony Davis that I know. Like, he's been injury prone. Last year was kind of a fluke to me. I just felt like, it was the bubble, didn't have to do a whole lot of traveling. You stayed in one spot. So, that kind of helped out with a lot of different things, like with rest. But his body has just been showing like, he's been having little nagging things that happened this year. And like, honestly, I hate to see anybody injured, but this right here is bad for AD. One, he's 7 foot. He's a 7-footer. And with this Achilles, if it's an Achilles, it's going to be hard for him to come back from this. Yeah, we've seen KD come back from it. We've seen other people come back from it, but he's not KD. I mean, he weighs a whole lot more than KD. It's a whole lot more pressure going down. Like, KD's just long and lanky, and his game is not predicated off of athleticism. And a lot of Anthony Davis is off athleticism. And Ty, I tell you what, man, I'm scared for him too. It might be a wrap for him because, I mean, it's just tough. Like, they saying a strain, but if this is Achilles, it's gonna be hard. We see DeMarcus Cousins come back from that, but I never been a fan of DeMarcus Cousins. Like, I never thought that he was just like a great player, but he's proven that he can play a little bit through, even though he wasn't, like I said, his game is not predicated off athleticism, none of that stuff. But AD's is like he's very athletic, and he's going to depend on those ankles and legs and feet and everything to come there, but to be able to carry him. And with his size, I think that's going to kind of hurt him. And so this thing, 2 to 3 weeks. Where do the Lakers go here for 2 to 3 weeks? Because that's quite a few games that they have to play without Anthony Davis. They're second in the West, if I'm not mistaken. So this could be really big, and they're going to hold him out to the All-Star break, and probably to All-Star. So, yeah, that's about All-Star. So if he does, let's say, for instance, the Lakers fall to, 4th or 5th, that's going to be a hard thing to get back from. And then it's going to make their road that much harder to get to repeat. And LeBron is going to have to really, 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 really put in a whole lot of effort to carry the team while he's gone. Because, we got to look at it. You got him, you had AD. And then everybody else is pretty much, role players. TC, I see what you said. Gasol has to play better. But Gasol is not that type of player. He's really not. Like, I like, Marc Gasol and everything, but he's one of those guys that you can stick him into certain things and he'll be good. And I feel like he benefited from playing with Memphis in their system. And then he went to Toronto, he fit in their system. But playing with LeBron is totally different, because with those other systems that Gasol had, it was, pass, we're going to get a whole lot of movement. He might find an open guy, they find him, whatever. And with LeBron, it's more, he's going to go set screens, and then he's going to float to the corner where he's going to be looking to catch and shoot. It's not like, but I agree he has to play better, but how can he play better? I just don't see it. I don't see how he's going to be able to, play the way Gasol can play, playing with LeBron. That's what people fail to realize is like, LeBron, he deferred a lot to AD because he knew that he needed, that other guy to be a 1-2 punch. Can he trust, Gasol to do that, to throw the ball down to him and let him operate and let him, go to work? But everybody know it's a cost whenever you play with LeBron. Like, you got to change your game up. If you look at everybody, look at the Chris Boshes and look at, Kevin Love, you see how their games completely changed playing with LeBron. So I'm not sure if Gasol can do anything better to fill the void of Anthony Davis. I'm not sure. It will have to be a collective bunch. He has to play better. Schroeder gonna have to pick it up. Kuzma gonna have to pick it up, even though his name is in trade talks and everything, which we shall see. And at the end of the day, it's gonna be a whole lot on LeBron. Avery, he said, if I was a Laker, I would have never signed him to the long-term deal. But that was LeBron doing. And I agree with you 100%. I agree with you. Having the same agent, basically LeBron the agent. So he was making sure that all his people came to him and they got paid and they got to make sure they benefited. I would have never signed him to a long-term deal simply because he's injury prone. Like, last year was a fluke. And if anybody want to disagree with me, go back and look at history. Look at him at the Pelicans. He never completed a season. His body is used to playing 40 to 50 games. That's what he's used to playing. You can't take that. That's the truth. That's not my opinion. That's the truth. You go back and you look at it. He's used to playing, 40 to 50 games. 40 to 50. So that's what it is. Ty said if he was the Lakers, they would be broke because he would have hit the budget. So he can't listen to Avery. Ah, man. Leave Avery alone, Ty. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. Leave him alone. But I mean, the AD situation is we're gonna have to see how it plays out, simply because he got 2 to 3 weeks to be reevaluated. Now, they did say that whenever he got back to LA, that they were going to that their team doctors were going to reevaluate and take a look at him. So, they may do another MRI just to make sure. But I mean, I pray that he's okay, because I don't want to wish no injury or nothing bad on anybody. But I hope that he comes along and he's healthy, because if he doesn't, I don't see the Lakers being able to make it, maybe past the second round, especially if they fall like, to fourth or fifth or something like that, where they have to end up playing against one of those higher seeds in the second round. And, and everybody knows it's all about continuity. And if he's out that long, who's to say he's going to come back at full strength? And Nick said he was hurt in the bubble. He always hurt. In the bubble, he played all the games, man. He didn't have any issues. But yeah, I agree with you. He always hurt. Hey, Ty, you good, man. You good. Hey, I don't get on anybody that's gonna get on Avery. Like, anybody that can shut Avery up, I'm good, because he do got a big mouth. So I agree with you. All right, so our next topic is going to be we're going to talk about J.J. Watt being released from the Texans. I posted on my page that this was very interesting, and a lot of people thought that I was talking about him, going to play with somebody else. I thought it was interesting because of the simple fact of we just had an issue with Deshaun Watson asking for a trade. And we had so many people to go at Deshaun Watson, sideways and crazy, like the Brett Favres and the Dick Vermeils. And, everybody saying that, he should shut up and they get paid a whole lot of money, and how he showed this way, but now this doesn't look good on his part and all that good stuff. But my thing is, I think he handled it the right way. He gave the Texans many opportunities to do it. But we're talking about J.J. Watt today. J.J. Watt didn't have any issues, or I don't hear any of these guys talking about J.J. Watt going to, the owners and asking for a release. Release, trade. Truthfully, a trade is better than a release, because you can't get nothing for J.J. Watt. But him going there asking, and they granted him that. So my issue is, why, whenever J.J. Watt goes, asks for a release, he gets it, we don't hear anything. But when Deshaun Watson goes and asks for a trade, everybody giving him slack. Everybody's saying he's doing it the wrong way. Everybody's saying, oh, they pay him a lot of money, he should go ahead, and just play. So the thing that I look at is this right here. A lot of teams talking about they want J.J. Watt. First of all, if I'm an owner, I don't want his ass. Plain and simple. How many seasons have J.J. Watt finished out of his 10-year career? Especially the last 4 or 5. The guy has been injury prone, and he's on the latter part of his career. Yeah, he has been a force. When he's healthy, he's really, and you notice what I said, when he's healthy, he is a force to be reckoned with. But, you start getting older, he's going to want a lot of money. And I think a lot of people praise J.J. Watt simply because what he does in the community. He stays relevant in the community. He done a lot for Houston. He done a lot for them during the times where they needed a lot of stuff, whenever they had the natural disasters and all that good stuff. But we're talking about football here. Why is it that he can go and get his release with no problem and get on social media and tell everybody, like, yeah, I'm excited about this new chapter in my life and this, that, and the third? We have mutually parted ways, which means they're not going to get anything for J.J. Watt. They can't trade him and get assets for him. They just released him and call it a day. But Deshaun Watson is asking for a trade where you could get draft picks, you can get other players, but you don't want to do it. You want to hold him hostage simply because he signed the contract. J.J. Watt signed the contract. But y'all mutually agreed to part ways. Man, no. And Nick, I'm gonna tell you this right here. The organization, they do have issues. It was a red flag because you never get rid of the best, one, if not the best, one of the best wide receivers in football. I agree with you 100%. It's red flags all in that organization. And that's why Deshaun Watson wants out. That's why J.J. Watt wanted out. He knows that there's issues. At the end of the season, he apologized to Deshaun Watson, talking about how bad their season was. And Ty, no, I do not want him in Philly. I don't. Did you hear me say he's injury prone? He's going to want a lot of money. And then my team is just in disarray right now. Like I just don't even bring, you notice I haven't even talked about Philly. So don't even discuss that. No, I don't want him there. I don't want that because we got a history of picking up older players, thinking they're going to be in their prime and do everything that they said they was going to do. I mean, thinking they're going to do everything that they were going to do back in the past. And then we pay them a whole lot of money. We over the cap. We owe. No, I don't want him. No, somebody else can have that problem because nobody wants to see him in the red tent all the dang on time, during games or whatever, because he's hurt or, he's having surgery. He's out for the season. No, I don't want that. I don't want it. But I just don't get it because it's frustrating to me that, me being a black man, and I try not to get too political and stuff, but me being a black man, seeing how, black athletes are treated differently and people don't want to pay attention to any of that. But that's what it all boils down to. Like, Deshaun Watson, black quarterback, he's been doing everything the right way. And I don't see anything wrong with what he did this time. But J.J. Watt, he can get what he want to get and nobody says anything. And they'll look at us sideways like that and all that good stuff. And I just don't get it. The guy, he didn't come out and say anything negative about the organization. He just waited and he saw. Yeah. And like my thing is, it's a lot of people that says a lot of things about, well, they play like, they paying him. He shouldn't have any say in a lot of stuff. But like, if that's your franchise quarterback, that's your franchise player, I think that you should, consult with these guys. They're the ones that's putting their bodies and life on the line to go out there and play for you, make you money. Yeah, they're making good money, but you're making more money off of them. So him asking, for a trade, he could ask for a release. Would they have granted him a release? Neil, I don't have a problem with his play either. He wants to win, and that's the most important thing. But in Houston, that organization does not want to win. They don't want to win. Why do you think J.J. Watt left? That's the reason why he wanted to go, because they are going in the wrong direction. Everything has happened. They got rid of Hopkins, and and everything is just gone. Like, Houston is not a place that anybody wants to be in right now. I mean, I looked at something the other day. Houston sports, they have lost so many big names this year. But the Houston Texans is just in disarray right now. And then they hire a black coach that was 68 years old, if I'm not mistaken. That guy's not going to coach long. That was just like, a Band-Aid on it to make, Deshaun Watson say, okay, well, I'm going to stay here. I'm going to be fine and all that good stuff. But, I just wish that, all the athletes would get treated the same. If I go and ask for a trade, and I do it the right way, and y'all know we're not going in the same direction, don't try to hold me hostage. Because, it's a lot of guys that don't understand in football. You got to go ahead and get your best years, when you can. Sometimes they can hold you hostage, and then, they don't want to let you go after good to nobody. I mean, they do that with running backs a lot of times. But, these quarterbacks, Deshaun Watson, somebody be glad to have a leader in their locker room like him. So we're going to see what's going to happen. I wish J.J. Watt the best, but I don't want him. I don't see why anybody will want him simply because, I mean, unless you can get him for a discounted price and and hope that he stays healthy, that's the biggest thing. So everybody all whoop-de-doo about J.J. Watt. He can go to this team, go to that team, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it being, everybody's, being a big thing or something that's going to take their team over the top simply because you got a lot of what ifs with J.J. Watt. So, yeah, so we'll see what happens with that. And so we're going to move on and we're going to go to our next topic. Our next topic is the NBA trade deadline. NBA trade deadline is March the 25th. And you see a lot of names that's been thrown out there. First, you had heard Bradley Beal, but Bradley Beal kind of shot that down. He doesn't want to be traded. He said he wants to stay in Washington. He wants to make Washington a contender. But, I don't know if that's going to happen, in Washington because they're just not a good team right now. They're really not a good team. But the other names that's been thrown around is Andre Drummond and Blake Griffin. Those are two of the last two names that I've heard that's being talked about, being traded and getting calls about. And then the thing that's kind of confusing to me is the Pistons and the Cavs have decided to not play Griffin and Drummond because of trade talks. I just don't get that. Like, Blake Griffin used to be a dynamic player, but what are you gonna get for Blake Griffin? Like, what are you gonna get for him? And I get the Pistons. I get the Pistons mindset. They have a good GM in Troy Weaver. He came from Oklahoma City, so he's done a lot of deals. He knows how to manipulate some things to make his team better, get lower contracts, so he can get a team that he really wants and build his own program in Detroit. But how can you get anything for Blake Griffin? Then they said they might even try a buyout, which I think that would be the craziest thing possible, simply because he's already owed like $36 million this year. And next year he has $39 million that he's owed on the end of that 5-year contract that he had with the Clippers and when they traded him to Detroit. Who wants that contract? Who wants that contract, first of all? And second of all, where would Blake Griffin fit in? Like, we really hadn't heard much from Blake Griffin since he left the Clippers, simply because Chris Paul, in my opinion, made Blake Griffin all of that money. Because he really never had a low post game. Everything was always lobs and, and all that good. So they called it Lob City because of him. So Nick said Griffin, just the name now, his prime game gone, but Drummond is a force. I haven't got the Drummond yet, but I don't know who would take that contract from Detroit for Blake Griffin. I just can't see it happening. It's just too much money for an aging player that, he's past his prime. Only thing that I can see him doing is going somewhere and coming off the bench. But I can't pay nobody all of that kind of money to come off the bench and not, really have a productive role on my team, because any contender, I don't see any contender that could really use him. Now, if anybody else knows a contender that can use him, speak up, but I just don't see it. But, Nick, let's get to Drummond. I agree with you about Drummond. Drummond is a double-double guy. And I see Drummond, being, going somewhere where he could be a force. And, me and some guys had some conversation today. I could see him, playing in Charlotte, because Charlotte needs something like that. Charlotte needs a guy that could do that. Nick, I agree with you on that. Portland could use him if you're talking about Drummond. because he's a guy that can give you a double-double and clean that glass the way you want that glass to be clean. But me personally, if I'm Drummond, I'm going somewhere like Brooklyn. You already got, dynamic scoring and all that good stuff. And what's going to make Brooklyn better? You put him out there, getting offensive rebounds, getting them, second chance points and all that good stuff. And then you got DeAndre Jordan that just want to play defense. That's what I see. I see if he goes to Brooklyn, that would take Brooklyn. I wouldn't go to Boston, Ty. I would go to Brooklyn simply because Boston, to me, their window of opportunity has closed under Brad Stevens. Now, if they got somebody else to coach, yes, that would be different. I see Brooklyn because you got KD in place. You got James Harden in place. You got Kyrie in place. And they kind of getting it together now. They play a little bit of defense, play a lot more defense. And Kyrie has finally said, hey, James, you run point, I'll be two. Because that's what James, is accustomed to doing. I say go to Brooklyn and you be that guy to clean that glass, get them extra second chance points and all that good stuff. If Brooklyn get that guy, like DeAndre Jordan is a defender, he'll rebound when he have to, but you got somebody like Drummond who can give you a double-double, 13 points, 14, 15 rebounds. They are going, I already got it, coming out the East. I see them coming out the East if they stay healthy. But if they get Drummond, I don't see anybody beating them. I just can't see it. I don't know who they would give up, because you still want your depth and all that good stuff. But Brooklyn going to get Drummond, and it'll be nice if Cleveland just like release him and they get a buyout, and then they can pick him up. And Nick, I have to agree with you, bro. Automatically champions. I have to agree with you. James, I don't know, because a lot of these teams are really trying to get younger. So that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to get rid of some of these big contracts so they can get younger, and then, they can have cap space. That's what they're trying to do. And Jordan wouldn't be somebody, because they already got, the other center that just came from Cleveland, not from Cleveland, from Brooklyn. I'm trying to think his name. It's on the tip of my tongue. Like I had his name and all that good stuff. But the guy with the big old afro and all that good stuff. But they have him, and that's one reason why they're trying to get rid of him, because they want to start playing him. So I mean, we'll see. I mean, I can understand what you're saying, but I definitely wouldn't give up Joe Harris. I definitely wouldn't give up him. But Drummond, that's something they need to really think about. And the center I'm talking about is Jared Allen. They already got Jared Allen. Thanks, Ty. That's what I was thinking. They got Jared Allen, and Jared Allen is they say they ready to play him since he's young, he's youthful. And so they want to get young. They don't want to get older. So I don't know if the Harris and Jordan trade, it's something else they can come up with. Brooklyn got some other stuff that and James, I have to agree with you. Drummond contract is huge. Like, it's very huge. So we'll see what's going to happen with that. Andre Drummond contract was 5 years. But his dead cap, so in 2021, he will earn a base salary of $28 million, which, $28.7 million. So, it's not as bad as some of these other contracts like Blake Griffin. Blake Griffin, almost $40 million. So that's something you can work with. It's a little bit of torn. I think that they're going to have to figure out something with Drummond. I hope they can figure out a way to release him. But Brooklyn is the most important, the biggest place I would go if you want to win a championship. Now, if you want to go somewhere where you can make a difference, they're young and upcoming, and then you want to see where it goes, then I say go to some place like the Hornets. The Hornets could use somebody like him, because that's the little stuff that they're missing. The Hornets. With that young talent that they have, put him in there to be a double-double guy and you clean that glass, the Hornets would be tough. And they would give people some problems over in the East. They would get problems in the East. So, I mean, with that being said, we're going to see what's going to happen with this. But, you know, the Blake Griffin, I'm not a fan of Blake Griffin. I can't see Blake Griffin going somewhere and being, you know, on a contender. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. Like, you know, some people say the Clippers, but I just can't see him fitting in with the Clippers. The Raptors, I know they've been calling about Drummond, but I can't see Blake Griffin, you know, helping the Raptors out that much. Milwaukee, no. I mean, I just can't. I see Drummond being the guy that can go somewhere and make a difference and turn teams into that needs that extra little piece and turn them into a much more of a contender. I agree with you, TC. I agree with you, nephew. I think Blake Griffin is done. I think, you know, he signed that big contract. I think he need to take his money and just ride it out, you know, because anybody who picks him up, they're just going to sit him on the bench. He's just going to be a locker room guy, which I don't think that mentally, you know, there's a lot of these guys with egos. I don't see him, you know, being okay with being a locker room guy. I just can't see it. But we shall see. We shall see. And, you know, it's going to be like we still got a good little amount of time before, you know, the NBA trade deadline. It's not till March the 25th. So it's going to be a lot of dibbling, dabbling. So we'll see a whole lot of names come up. We'll see a whole lot of people, you know, making trades and talking about making trades. I think the Lakers going to have to make some moves, especially if AD is, you know, is compromised. So we're going to see. I mean, everybody's saying rest. Yeah, 2 to 3 weeks is not enough rest for Achilles, in my personal opinion. I mean, I just feel like, you know, with that. So we'll see what the Lakers do. But anybody who want to win, Andre Drummond is a guy that you need to go after. You know, he's not a hothead. He doesn't have to have the basketball. You know, he can do everything, you know, just off straight dirty work. So that anybody who pick him up, I feel like is going to be a winner. That's just how I feel about Drummond. All right. So we're going to end it on thing I call last word now. Don't hide that. Show that. Last word. I see a whole lot of talk about, you know, the GOAT here and the GOAT there and who the greatest and who better than this person, who better than that person. You don't know what you're talking about and all this good stuff. So my question is to everyone is, when did it start being okay to just get there? Like, I played sports and I didn't want to just get there. If I played, I wanted to win championships. I didn't want to just get to the championship game. I wanted to win championships. I wanted to win trophies. That was just me. I didn't want no trophy or participation trophy. And we have come up in a generation that's all about participation. If you participate in this, that's good enough. I never take away from anybody accomplishments, saying that, you know, when you go to championship games, finals, Super Bowls, all that good stuff, I never take that away from you. But at the end of the day, the ultimate thing is you're trying to win. And it's this funny movie called Talladega Nights where Ricky Bobby said, if you're not first, you're last. And that's so true. So I wish that we would get out of this thing saying, oh, well, this person went to this amount of championships and that's all that matters. And Ty, I don't care what you say about a different era. I'm all about winning. I don't care what era it is. At the end of the day, I'm all about winning. I don't care how many times you get to a finals or get to a Super Bowl or get to a conference championship. I don't care how many times you get there. If you're not winning, then don't throw that stat up in my face. A lot of people like remember the Buffalo Bills. They went to 4 straight Super Bowls, but they lost each time, and it wasn't pretty either time. You think the Buffalo Bills want to be praised for losing 4 straight times, or at least winning 1? That's the type of era that we live in now, where you get praised, and it's not just like championships or championship games. It's almost like somebody can play bad, and they can play bad repeatedly. And we are quick to forget, because they can have one good game, and lo and behold, we're praising them like they're the next coming to God. I wish that we would start holding some of these guys accountable. It's simple. Win 3 more times. I got you. And this is what this segment is not about. Like, I'm not trying to debate who is the GOAT or who is better, because at the end of the day, it's all subjective, and it's all our opinions. We're going to have some people to say LeBron is the best, and they're going to give reasons why. Well, LeBron had to play against this team, and that team was far more superior. He only lost in the finals. Then you got some that bring up Kareem. You got some that bring up Jordan. A lot of people bring up Jordan, and they say the people who think LeBron is the GOAT, they'll bring up, well, Jordan lost in the first round. But the same context and the same reasons that you put in there that LeBron lost in the finals could be the same thing, the reason why Jordan lost in the first round. You lost to far more superior teams. And when Jordan lost in the first round, he wasn't one of those guys that I ain't gonna say his team wasn't, a contender. They wasn't an odds-on favorite to win. But that's another story for another day. But like, I just feel like now we live in a generation and an era now where okay is good enough. You got guys that they get paid a whole lot of money, and they can just be okay. Paul George, for an example, get paid a whole lot of money. He can be shitty. And then we turn around, Paul George a beast, because he come out and he hit 6, 7 threes in a game. But he can play like crap in the playoffs. And, you think that it's okay. He just had a bad game. He had a bad series. No, we have to look at some of these jokers now and say, okay, are you legit, or you just all talk? I get this a lot of times. I listen to people just praise some of these players whenever they can go out there and be shitty and bad and not play good, but then come back and have 1 or 2 games after having 6 or 7 bad ones, and we're praising them like they're the next coming to Jesus. Like, we need to stop that. We need to stop. We need to stop trying to categorize guys about going to finals or going to, championship games and not winning. Stop giving participation trophies. I know some of y'all don't want y'all kids to have participation trophies. So why do you give participation trophies to some of these, athletes or whatever? If you're going to get to the big dance, you're going to get to the last game, be a winner. And I'm not, and for anybody think, I'm not just talking about LeBron James. I'm not. I'm talking about players in general. This generation is, in my personal opinion, is kind of soft. They're very sensitive. And, and I think that's why like people like Russell Westbrook is not liked, because Russ is cut from a different cloth. He's more competitive, in your face, gonna tell you how it is, and ain't gonna back down from you. Where even if he having a bad game, he could be having a bad game, and he's still gonna be in your face and trying to give it to you. Where we got guys now that they rather play with people instead of competing with them. And then a lot of people will say, well, with that mentality, that's why you don't have no rings. Well, that's true. That's true. But at some point in time, we got to get back to, holding people accountable. They get paid good money to play. And at the same time, we keep giving them, little slaps on the wrist, saying it's okay. Y'all do know some of that money that they get paid, it comes from out of your pocket, from, the NFL package and the NBA TV and the NBA package. And, you buying their jerseys and you buying all the apparel and all that stuff goes into their pockets. So stop giving these guys reason to be mediocre. Stop giving them reason to be mediocre. Like the NBA, a lot of people don't think so, but I've been saying it for a few years. After a while, the NBA ain't gonna have nothing but role players. We don't have a lot of stars. We got a few superstars, and then we got guys that we would consider stars because that's the only other thing that you can call them. But we're gonna have a whole bunch of role players. After LeBron retires and KD retires, Steph retires, Kawhi retires. Once those guys is gone, we looking at a lot of guys, and then look at the college brands that we have now. College ain't that great. We're gonna have a bunch of role players. So my last word is stop letting guys be mediocre. Hey, I'll be back next Monday at 7:30 Central Standard Time. I appreciate everybody who came in, participated. I'm trying to do a better job of, putting you guys on and communicating with you as I go. Next week we have a few other different topics, but I just want to say appreciate everybody who tuned in. Love you guys. See y'all next week. Y'all have a good rest of y'all night.